Welcome, tennis fans, to another massive breaking update that is currently sending absolute shockwaves through the tennis community. We are talking about a move that has captured the attention of fans not just in the Philippines, but right across the heart of Spain. We are witnessing the evolution of a generational talent in real time, and the level of dedication we are seeing is simply unprecedented for a player of her age. The headlines are screaming, the local Spanish press is absolutely buzzing, and the fans are left in pure awe. All of Spain is shocked. And why? Because Alexandra Eala, fresh off her grueling high-stakes campaign at the Madrid Open, has made a decision that perfectly encapsulates her relentless, unyielding championship mentality. Instead of taking a well-deserved vacation, instead of enjoying the beautiful sights of the Spanish capital, or taking a moment to breathe and reflect on her recent matches, Alex Eala has packed her bags and headed straight back to the grind. Immediately, without a single day of hesitation, she has traveled directly from Madrid back to her training base in Manacor, Mallorca, for a grueling, intensive one-week training camp starting this very Sunday. Let that sink in for a moment. This is a 20-year-old phenom who is navigating one of the most physically and mentally demanding sports on the planet. The Women's Tennis Association Tour is an absolute gauntlet. It is a grueling, year-round marathon of travel, time zone changes, press conferences, sponsor obligations, and, of course, the incredibly taxing reality of professional match play. When a player completes a run at a massive WTA 1000 event like the Madrid Open, the standard protocol, the expected, normal routine, is to decompress. You take a few days off. You let your body recover from the high-altitude clay of the Caja Magica. You let your mind rest from the intense, laser-focused concentration required to compete against the very best players in the world. But Alexandra Eala is proving, once again, that she is not your average tennis player. She is not built like the rest of the pack. She operates on a completely different wavelength, a frequency tuned to the absolute highest echelons of sporting greatness. By choosing to immediately transition from the high-pressure environment of tournament play right back into the grueling, unglamorous trenches of practice at the Rafa Nadal Academy, Eala is sending a massive, undeniable message to the rest of the tour. She is saying, I am not satisfied. I am hungry. I am here to work, and I will not be outworked by anyone. This is the exact type of relentless work ethic that turns good players into great players, and great players into absolute legends of the game. It is a work ethic that echoes the very man whose academy she trains at, the king of clay himself, Rafael Nadal. When the Spanish public sees a young athlete exhibiting this level of pure, unadulterated grit and passion, it resonates deeply. They know what it takes to conquer the red dirt. They have watched Nadal do it for 2 decades. And now, they are watching this incredible Filipina superstar adopt that exact same Spartan mentality, taking the lessons of Manacor to heart and applying them with a fierce, uncompromising determination. The timing of this immediate, 1-week intensive training block is incredibly significant. We are deep into European clay court swing, the most physically demanding stretch of the tennis calendar. Clay is not just a surface. It is a test of character. It demands patience, incredible stamina, explosive movement, and the ability to construct points with absolute tactical precision. The ball bounces higher, it sits up longer, and the rallies become grueling physical baseline battles. You have to slide into your shots, you have to defend from deep behind the baseline, and you have to possess the mental fortitude to stay in a point when your lungs are burning and your legs feel like lead. Eala knows this. Her team knows this. And they understand that the transition from the unique, altitude-assisted conditions of Madrid to the heavier, slower clay that she will face in her upcoming tournaments requires immediate, specialized adaptation. Madrid is played at roughly 600 meters above sea level. The ball flies through the thin air, allowing for a more aggressive, fast-paced style of play. But as the tour prepares to move to the Italian Open in Rome, a tournament played virtually at sea level at the Foro Italico, the conditions will change drastically. The courts will be slower, the ball will be heavier, and the physical demand will increase exponentially. This is why this 1-week training camp in Manacor, starting this Sunday, is a masterstroke of scheduling and preparation. Eala is not just hitting tennis balls. She is engaging in highly specific, targeted physical and tactical conditioning. She is getting her feet back on the familiar, sea-level clay of Mallorca to recalibrate her timing, to refine her sliding techniques, and to build the immense aerobic base required to outlast her opponents in the eternal city of Rome. She has taken the raw data, the successes and the failures, from her matches in Madrid and immediately taken them into the laboratory with her coaching team. This level of immediate application, this refusal to rest on her laurels or wallow in defeat, is exactly why the entire tennis world is watching her every move. She currently sits as the highest-ranked Filipino player in WTA Tour history, having recently peaked at a career-high world number 29 earlier this year. She has broken barriers, shattered ceilings, and put Philippine tennis on a global map in a way we have never seen before. But for Alexandra Eala, being a trailblazer is not the finish line. It is merely the starting point. She wants more. She wants titles. She wants Grand Slams. And she is willing to put in the lonely, agonizing hours on the practice court, while everyone else is resting, just to get that extra 1% edge. So, as we prepare to dive deep into the specific mechanics of this unprecedented move, as we unpack the details of her Madrid campaign, and look ahead to what this intensive Manacor training block will actually entail, I want you to keep one thing in mind. You are not just hearing about a tennis player's schedule. You are witnessing the blueprint of a champion. You are seeing the unseen hours, the quiet sacrifices, and the burning, insatiable desire to achieve greatness. This is the story of Alexandra Eala, and the shockwaves she is sending from Madrid to Manacor are just the beginning of what promises to be a legendary career. Let's break down exactly what happened, why it matters, and what we can expect to see from this phenomenal athlete in the weeks to come. Truly understand the magnitude of this immediate pivot to Manacor. We have to forensically analyze exactly what transpired during Alexandra Eala's campaign at the 2026 Mucho Madrid Open. The Caja Magica was the stage, and Eala arrived in the Spanish capital with a wave of momentum and an absolute legion of fans behind her. Madrid is a city she loves, a place where she feels incredibly comfortable. Her older brother works there, her family was present, and the Filipino community in Spain came out in absolute droves to support their national hero. The atmosphere was electric, and Eala fed off that energy beautifully in her opening match. In the first round, she faced off against the heavily experienced Russian veteran, Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova. Now, let's be very clear about the caliber of opponent this is. Pavlyuchenkova is a former French Open finalist. She has been to the semifinals in Madrid before. She possesses massive baseline power and a wealth of tactical experience on the tour. But Eala, displaying the poise and maturity of a seasoned veteran, completely dismantled the Russians' game. In a highly contested, brilliant display of clay court tennis, Eala dismissed Pavlyuchenkova in straight sets, 6-3, 6-3, in just 1 hour and 31 minutes. The statistics from that match tell a story of incredible mental resilience. Eala faced 4 break points in a tightly contested 54-minute opening set, and she saved every single one of them. She absorbed the heavy pace of Pavlyuchenkova, used her phenomenal lefty forehand to open up the angles, and dictated the tempo of the match. In the second set, when she briefly lost her advantage, she did not panic. Instead, she flipped a switch, sweeping 8 consecutive points to completely break her opponent's spirit and close out the match. It was a statement victory, proving that she absolutely belongs on the same court as the game's established elite. However, the second round presented a significantly different challenge. Eala found herself up against the 19th seed, Belgium's Elise Mertens, currently ranked 21st in the world. Mertens is known as one of the most consistent, intelligent, and tactically sound players on the WTA Tour. She is a defensive wall who forces you to play an extra ball, testing your patience and your shot selection on every single point. Eala came out of the gate swinging, showing immense early promise, and racing to a 40-15 lead in the opening game. But Mertens used her veteran savvy to weather the early storm, eventually breaking down Eala's defenses to take the match in straight sets, 6-2, 6-1. It was a tough loss, a harsh reminder of the incredibly thin margins at the absolute pinnacle of the sport. Against players like Mertens, a slight drop in first serve percentage or a momentary lapse in shot tolerance is heavily punished. Now, this is where the psychology of a champion truly reveals itself. A lesser player might have let that second-round exit linger. They might have taken a few days to sulk, to go shopping in Madrid, or to simply check out mentally before heading to the next tournament. not Alex Eala. Instead of packing for a holiday, she packed her bags for Manacor. She took that loss, internalized the lessons, and immediately channeled that frustration into fuel. This one-week training camp starting Sunday is not a punishment. It is a rapid response refinement process. Let's talk about the laboratory itself, the Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca. This is not just a tennis facility. It is a high-performance sanctuary. Eala has practically grown up on these very courts, having trained there for almost 8 years. She graduated from the academy. It is her second home. But more importantly, it is an environment completely optimized for pursuit of tennis perfection. During this one-week intensive camp, Eala is reuniting with her core brain trust. Her dedicated coaches Joan Bosch, Sandro Veen, and her fitness coach Luc Bauza. If you look at her recent social media posts, you see them huddled together on the red clay, engaged in deep analytical conversation. Communication is the absolute bedrock of their relationship. They are dissecting the tape from Madrid. They are analyzing the launch angles of her ground strokes. They are calculating her first serve percentages and her breakpoint conversion rates. What exactly are they working on during these grueling Sunday-to-Sunday sessions? First and foremost, the physical transition. As I mentioned earlier, moving from the altitude of Madrid to the sea-level conditions of Rome is a massive shift. The clay in Mallorca perfectly simulates the heavy, gritty dirt she will face at the Foro Italico. Eala's fitness coach, Luc Bauza, will be pushing her aerobic capacity to the absolute limit. We are talking about brutal on-court movement drills, medicine ball throws, resistance band work, and endless sliding exercises to ensure her kinetic chain is perfectly balanced when she hits from defensive, stretched-out positions. Eala herself has noted that clay is gritty and incredibly physical. She knows that to survive the long, grueling rallies in Rome, her legs must be absolute tree trunks, capable of explosively pushing off the dirt hour after hour. Tactically, Coach Joan Bosch and Sandro Veen will be fine-tuning her weaponry. Against Mertens, Eala struggled to hit through the court when the ball was pushed deep. They will be working relentlessly on her court positioning, ensuring she steps inside the baseline to take the ball early and rob her opponents of time. As a left-handed player, her cross-court forehand, which naturally hooks heavily into a right-handed opponent's backhand, is her deadliest weapon. They will be drilling that shot thousands of times this week, perfecting the topspin rotation to make the ball kick up viciously above the opponent's shoulder height. Furthermore, they will be focusing heavily on her serve. To compete at the top 30 level, her first serve needs to be more than just a way to start the point. It needs to be a reliable source of free points. Expect to see her hitting hundreds of buckets of balls, refining her ball toss, and enhancing the heavy kick serve out wide to the ad court. But beyond the physical and the tactical, this one-week camp is about the mental reinforcement. The Rafa Nadal Academy is steeped in the philosophy of its founder. Nadal's intensity never wavers, not even in practice. Eala has experienced this firsthand, having hit with a 22-time Grand Slam champion during the preseason. She has spoken about how exhausting it was just to share the court with him because of the sheer weight and intensity of every single ball he strikes. She has famously stated, "Anything I can take from Rafa, I'll take with pride." This week in Manacor is about channeling that exact spirit. It is about treating every single practice point as if it were championship point at Roland Garros. It is about building calluses on the mind as well as the hands. We also have to acknowledge the immense, almost crushing weight of expectation that Alexandra Eala carries on her shoulders every time she steps onto the court. She is not just playing for herself. She is playing for an entire nation. Her recent breakthrough successes, including reaching a career-high ranking of world number 29 and establishing herself as a legitimate force on the WTA Tour, have turned her into a national icon. Sports journalists and commentators back home are comparing her cultural impact to that of the legendary boxer Manny Pacquiao. Think about the gravity of that comparison. Just as the streets of Manila would empty when Pacquiao fought, fans are now adjusting their sleep schedules across the globe to watch Eala play. She is sparking a massive resurgence of interest in tennis across the Philippines and among the global Filipino diaspora. She proudly wears her heritage, attending the Laureus World Sports Awards in a stunning traditional Filipiniana designed by her uncle, Rhett Eala. She addresses the crowds in Tagalog, forging a deep, emotional connection with her supporters. She even recently went viral for bravely conducting her post-match interviews in fluent Spanish, winning over the hearts of the local Madrid crowd and showing immense respect for her adopted training base. Carrying the hopes and dreams of over 100 million people is a phenomenal burden for a 20-year-old. But instead of cracking under the pressure, she is using it to forge diamonds. This immediate retreat to the isolation and hard work of Manacor is her way of staying grounded. It blocks out the noise, the media hype, and the distractions. It reminds her that before you can be a superstar, you must first be a worker. You must put your head down, embrace the sweat, and respect the process. As she prepares for the upcoming Italian Open, followed closely by the ultimate test on clay, the French Open at Roland Garros, this week of training could very well be the defining pivot point of her entire 2026 season. She is hungry, she is focused, and she has surrounded herself with the absolute best team in the business to ensure that when she steps onto courts in Rome, she is not just ready to participate, she is ready to conquer. As we wrap up this extensive look into Alexandra Eala's shocking, yet brilliantly strategic move back to Manacor, the picture becomes incredibly clear. We are witnessing a masterclass in professional sports preparation. The decision to skip the rest, to bypass the comfort of a post-tournament break, and to dive immediately into a punishing one-week training camp starting this Sunday, speaks absolute volumes about her character. It is the kind of decision that separates the good from the great, the contenders from the champions. The entire tennis world, and certainly the whole of Spain, is taking notice of this phenomenal young woman. She is absorbing the legendary work ethic of Rafael Nadal, applying it to her own undeniable talent, and crafting a career trajectory that is pointing straight toward the stratosphere. The upcoming days in Mallorca will be grueling. The sun will be hot, the clay will be heavy, and the drills orchestrated by Joan Bosch, Sandro Veen, and Luc Bauza will be ruthlessly demanding. But every drop of sweat left on those practice courts is an investment into her future. The Italian Open in Rome is looming on the horizon, scheduled for May 5th to the 17th. It will mark her highly anticipated first appearance in the main draw of the prestigious event at the Foro Italico. The field will be packed at the world's elite. Players like Iga Swiatek, Naomi Osaka, and Zheng Qinwen will all be there, hungry for the title. But when Alex Eala arrives in the Eternal City, she will not be arriving just on raw talent. She will be arriving armed with the tactical adjustments, the physical endurance, and the unshakable mental fortitude forged in the fires of this immediate, intense training block in Manacor. For the millions of fans back in the Philippines and for tennis purists around the globe who appreciate true grit and dedication, Alexandra Eala is becoming the ultimate must-watch athlete. She is carrying the flag with immense pride, breaking records, and redefining what is possible for Southeast Asian tennis. As she continues to conquer the clay, utilizing everything she has learned from her idol and her world-class coaching team, we can only watch in admiration. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the relentless journey of Alexandra Eala. The clay court season is heating up, the stakes are getting higher, and if this unprecedented work ethic is any indication, the best is yet to come. Keep your eyes on Rome, because Alex Eala is coming, and she is bringing the fire of Manacor with her.